we try and make the sessions that we run an opportunity for us to learn from your expertise and your experience. So we hope today will be a big conversation, and we'll get loads of ideas from the great practice I'm sure that you're doing in your institutions, and we hopefully will share some of the things that we've learned in the hope that they might benefit you. So this is us. We are a national centre. We were set up in 2008, and Paul and I joined the centre in 2008. And from that time, we've been trying to understand what inhibits effective engagement, what stops great engagement happening in universities. And today we'll be able to share some of the learning about what those challenges are and how we've tried to address them. This is our website. We have three main things that we do. So we inspire a change in culture in universities. We build capacity for high-quality public engagement. So we do lots and lots of support for people who are researchers or academics within universities or support staff in universities to do really high-quality work. And we also try and network people together. We don't want to get to be a big organisation. I know you say we are a big organisation, but we feel very little for a national agenda with so many universities that we're meant to work with. And so we try and connect people together to mobilise learning between those networks and to bring a whole load of expertise from different disciplines to bear. So this is what we think public engagement is. We think the language around public engagement is really unhelpful. We think it's one of the barriers. It's like you said, we use this term, it doesn't really mean public engagement, but it could be defined as public engagement. So it's the same in the UK. Everybody uses a different term, and everyone says their way of doing engagement is the only good way. And so we try and help people navigate that and say we can learn from one another. So if you go to schools and inspire school children with your science, or if you collaboratively work with communities to do your research, you can learn from each other. And so our definition is very broad. It's all the ways in which the activity and benefits of higher education and research can be shared with the public. And key for us, and I think this is probably the fundamental thing for our centre, is it's about generating mutual benefit. It's not about going out and saying, we the academics, we the university have lots of information, now it's time for you to have it. We have nothing to learn, we don't need to listen, we don't need to explore our collaboration. So we really, really work hard to help people understand it's about interaction with those outside of the university, requires you to listen, but also requires you to think about what are the people you're working with getting, what are you getting, how is it changing you? How is it changing your thinking? And we think that that's really important. We think that engaged universities have different facets. And it's helpful for leaders of universities to think about all those facets. That I don't know what it's like here in Austria, but I do know in the UK, everyone is in a silo. You know, like, so that people who work in this team don't talk to the people in this team. Do you have that?
Yes.
Is that unusual? Yeah? Yeah, okay. So we think all these groups of people need to talk together, and that really thoughtful universities bring the leaders of these sections together to talk about engagement. So there's public engagement with research, a really big agenda in the UK. A lot of funding going into getting research engaged with the public. Engaged teaching, yeah, I mean, it seems here, I've heard a lot about engaged teaching. A lot of you are involved in engaged teaching? You wave at me, because I'm not very good with the nods. Oh, yeah. So engaged teaching is becoming increasingly important in the UK. Trying to think of really beneficial ways to work with communities and those outside of the universities with students, really important. Social responsibility, that's a big agenda here. Some, yeah. So it's a big agenda in the UK, and some universities are putting all of their engagement work under this kind of idea of being a socially responsible institution. And then the knowledge exchange and sharing. And in the UK, this is the most funded bit. So there's been a lot of investment in knowledge exchange. Why? Because it makes money. You know, so universities are very interested in commercialising their research, finding industrial partners, sharing their learning and benefiting from the learning of their partners. And a lot of money has been invested for the last 30 years in trying to make that a facet of a university. This is what we're going to do. We're going to talk a little bit about why we engage in the first place. We think it's fundamental if you don't know that. I mean, engagement isn't an end in itself. It always has a reason. And so we're going to talk about why we engage. And then we're going to spend a bit of time before lunch thinking about what does quality engagement look like. So how do we know what quality is? Are there factors in quality engagement so we can spot it when it happens? Or so we can plan it well? Or maybe there aren't. Maybe we're going to discuss that and work it out. We're going to have lunch around 12:35, maybe for around half an hour, 40 minutes. And then we're going to come back and talk about how do you, if you think you have a reason to engage, you understand what quality looks like, okay, how do you make the conditions make that thrive? How do you get your university operationally to support it well? How do you get it to lead it well? What are the facets that you need? And then we've got, depending on how well we manage our time, we've got about half an hour at the end for discussion that we didn't know you wanted to have, yeah? So like stuff that you're thinking, oh, well, I really came and I really wanted to know this, and you haven't engaged in that agenda, and that's really important. We've got half an hour to do that. Does that sound good? Yeah? Anyone in the wrong workshop? So I have to tell you, we are really informal. Yeah, if you need a drink, you need some fresh air, you need a rest from English, anything you need, just bob in and out as you need. We will be using the tables for table discussion, so you won't be sitting like this the whole time. But, it's a hot day and there's a beautiful view that looks much more beautiful than me. So I understand you might need to look at that sometimes. But, Paul, over to you.
Thank you. So, like Sophie says, gosh, isn't it lovely to be here? I'm sure you feel it's lovely, but I have never, ever done a workshop in a place like this. Spectacular. So, yes. But we need to focus. And we're really interested to start, really, just to understand a little bit about why you think engagement is important. And so it's a chance for you to kind of introduce yourselves to each other and to talk a little bit about why you think engagement matters. And we're offering you two questions, really. One of them is personal. If you believe engagement matters and you support it or you do it in your work, why? What motivates you? Why do you think that's important? We're also interested in why universities, why should institutions like universities support engagement and make it a part of their strategy and their culture? So we're just going to invite you to spend a few minutes, maybe in twos and threes, try and talk to people you don't know, introduce yourselves and talk a little bit about your personal motivations or the institutional motivations, or if you're very, very quick, you may have time to talk about both.